Okay, can't be playing any favorites. This is a channel for the people, or the people. And sometimes, to be completely honest, you tenants are actually the problem. Dare I say, 50% of the time, sometimes probably a little bit more, you tenants can really be little Alright, hi everyone. It's been a while since I've done one of these out of video third-party experiences, but it's necessary for this video. Current video, done and dusted, and we sort of leveled up the equipment, the layout of everything, which you can hopefully notice during the audio. But a slight problem with that is that it kind of ruined my usual perception of where I'm supposed to be looking at when I'm recording the video. So if you're watching this video and down the line it looks like I'm staring off into space or somewhere weird, I don't even know if you notice it, but it was bothering me, so I just wanted to say it here. Anyway, enjoy the rest of the video. I will improve along the way. Yo, people of YouTube, welcome to my channel. I'm Ishe Jindu, or Zinyati, an up-and-coming real estate agent in Zimbabwe, up-and-coming all the way to the top. And this is my channel where I talk about all things real estate, as in the business side of real estate, and all things real estate, as in just talking whatever I want to talk about that typically involves your home, the outside of your home, the inside of your home. And if any of that sounds interesting, you're probably going to enjoy today's topic. A few weeks back, I committed the ultimate landlord taboo out there and actually informed tenants that they actually have a right, nay, an obligation to actually screen landlords in order to make sure the landlord is a perfect fit for them. And to balance out the scales a little bit more, this week it's only fair that I decide to go at it by telling landlords how exactly to evaluate their tenants on whether they're the right fit for them and their property. And to be completely honest, this is probably the most important decision a landlord can ever make when they're putting their property on the market. So as a current landlord, future landlord, or someone who just wants to learn about the business, subscribe for real, like this video, share this video, and as always, let's get into it. Before I advance further into this topic, as I mentioned 2 weeks back, 3 weeks back, can't really remember, I already covered this exact topic in reverse to benefit tenants, and you can find that video up here somewhere. Go check it out. Doesn't matter if you check it out before this video or after this video, but go check it out. I'm being serious. So let's dive in. Screening your tenants. Really, truly, this is the most important decision any landlord can make. And to begin the topic off right, we need to come to a mutual understanding of what exactly we're trying to accomplish and what exactly is involved when we're screening a tenant. The process of screening a tenant involves a methodical survey of investigating any prospective tenant who's going to potentially become the tenant of your property, and you need to screen them for any and all red flags that could jeopardize you, your property, and any factor of you being a landlord and you running your property as a business. Trust me, as a landlord, screening your tenants efficiently is going to save your sanity, your business, and probably most importantly, your physical property. A bad tenant can really become the most expensive cost on your bottom line 24/7, 365. And as you do in the medical industry, prevention is really better than the cure. Let's talk about it. A good landlord can handle future problems that occur on his property due to a bad tenant, but a great landlord acts like Neo from the Matrix and starts dodging all potentially risky bad tenants from the onset. And in order to do that efficiently and effectively, you need to understand the 5 characteristics of screening a tenant and the potentially critical red flags that are associated with them. Let's start off with number 1, knowing your tenant's personal details. The most basic of basic things you need to understand about your tenant. Really, truly, the personal details of a prospective tenant don't exactly tell you the reasons on whether or not you should accept or deny a prospective tenant. Personal details are really just the necessary foundation of knowing your tenant. We're talking things like name, age, sex, identification, their contact details, their marital status, the real bare bones foundation of knowing someone on a business basis. In the personal details element, probably the most important thing you need to consider is your prospective tenant's age and your prospective tenant's identification, as in where exactly is their citizenship, because these are things that can interfere with legal matters and business matters. So you probably just want to get a hang of that, and you want to make sure you pay the most attention to that detail. Moving on to number 2, your prospective tenant's current tenancy details. More often than not, how your tenant is today indicates how your tenant is going to be tomorrow with you. Where are they living currently? Is it a step up or a step down coming to your property? And by how big a degree is that movement? It's not usually the case that most people jump or fall significantly outside of their norm. And if they do, you probably want to know about it and how sustainable it's going to be on your end. You'll probably also benefit from knowing how long they stayed where they're staying right now and their reason for wanting to move in the first place. Were they renting? Did they own the property? Were they couch surfing? Or were they still living at home and this is their first time moving out? All these details will come in handy in helping you understand your tenant just a little bit more. And potential red flags that you need to keep an eye for will probably come within the 2 aspects of why exactly they're leaving their current property now, and if there's a huge leap between their current property now and your property, whether your property is a significant jump up or a significant jump down, you'll probably just want to evaluate why exactly are they taking such a leap, and is such a leap sustainable to them and to you, so you don't have any problems down the line. Number 3, which is a little bit more helpful than number 2, but is also in the same realm. Where number 2 was the current tenancy details, number 3 is about the historical tenancy details, particularly the historical rental history. There's a funny joke, not joke, in the real estate world that says the second most important referral for you as a landlord about a new prospective tenant is the current landlord. The number 1 most important referral about your tenant to you as a landlord is the landlord that came before the current landlord. This being because if a tenant is particularly not so good, the current landlord might actually lie in their favor just to get rid of them. Whereas the landlords who came before their current landlords have no stake in the game and would be more willing to give you the honest facts on how the tenant behaves, the good, the bad, and the ugly. When it comes to potential red flags in this element, any red flag or key consideration that prior landlords tell you about is probably something you need to pay close attention to. As well, make sure you know you're actually talking to the actual landlord. It doesn't take much to ask a friend to pose as a previous landlord. So just make sure you carry out all the research to make sure you're talking to who you're told you're talking to. Moving on to the second to last element that we're going to be discussing today, which many landlords would probably fight me in order to say this is the most important factor when deciding who to pick as your next tenant, and that is your tenant's financial details. Being a landlord isn't a charity, it's a business. Your tenant's occupation, company details, how long they've been working at the company, how long they've had the position they currently have, their monthly income, and what I personally consider to be slightly more important than that, their monthly concluding balance, or to clarify a little bit more, their disposable income. Remember, as a landlord, it's not about what they're bringing into your home, it's about what they have left just before they need to pay you. Knowing as much as possible about your prospective tenant's bottom line. How much money are they managing to keep during the month before they need to pay you? And whether or not they have a sufficient buffer so that you don't have to worry about whether or not they'll be able to make their next payment to you. You don't need to worry about anyone else. And finally, number 5, what I consider to be the most important perspective screening detail for your next tenant, and that is property integration details, which is a fancy way of evaluating the alignment between how you and your prospective tenant see the property and how the property is going to be used. If you want your next tenant to see your rental home as a comfortable haven where they can just relax and sit back and quietly enjoy the scenery while they're reading a book, while your prospective tenant is looking at it like a bachelor pad to have parties, make a lot of noise, be rowdy, you're gonna have a bad time, and probably a bad enough time that however much you're charging for their tenancy, it's not gonna be worth it. Which is why I think property integration details are the most important details you need to consider as a landlord when you're screening prospective tenants. And as a landlord, there are two categories of property integration details that you need to become knowledgeable on. Number one, there's discriminatory integration details, and number two, the property influencing integration details. Let's talk about them. Discriminatory elements in most countries are illegal, and I'm only bringing them up in this video that you as a landlord just need to evaluate yourself on whether or not you're using any of these details in order to screen your tenants. Because if it's found out, you're really going to have a bad time because it's illegal. You can get fined or you can end up in prison. So in the discriminatory category, you're looking at things like race, religion, sexual orientation, children, disabilities, anything of that fact. Anything that can't be justifiably connected to potentially imposing a risk on your property is counted as a discriminatory way of screening prospective tenants. And if you're found out, it's not going to be good, so don't do it. What you can use to screen prospective tenants is property influencing elements. And these are elements that can easily be connected to potentially adding a non-necessary risk to you or your property by bringing in the tenant to your property. This can include things like a tenant's lifestyle, the type of pets they want to bring, or if you don't want pets in the first place, their occupation, as in whether or not they're going to be out of the property for long periods of time. You could justifiably connect that to being a safety issue, that you don't want a property that isn't occupied most of the time. And to some degree, in certain countries and states, prior convictions can be used to assess whether or not a tenant is suitable for your property. But you probably need to make sure about that because it can also seep into being a discriminatory category if the person has served their time, so double check on that. To me personally, the most important consideration and potential red flag of this element is your prospective tenant's lifestyle. If you want your property to be maintained quietly and not have a lot of visitors, you don't want to have a tenant who's looking for a bachelor pad or a bachelorette pad. I don't judge. And that's it. That's everything you need to consider as a landlord for your new prospective tenant. And don't worry if this sounds a little bit overwhelming. You don't always have to screen prospective tenants all on your own. You can hire a real estate agent, with a broker in order to do the screening for you, or you can even hire dedicated screening companies to do a comprehensive deep dive on everything you need to know about your prospective tenant. If there's an entire business industry dedicated to stalking your prospective tenant and making sure they're the right fit for you, it kind of tells you how important it is to make sure you screen tenants correctly. Don't just rush to your first tenant because you're gonna have a really bad time. You want to make sure everything is in order, everything is checked out, and everything aligns with what you're looking for in a tenant. If you found anything in this video to be helpful and useful, I'd appreciate it if you subscribed for real, like this video, share this video, and everything that's involved with helping my analytics. And if you didn't enjoy it or you missed something, do all that anyway, but just type in the comments how I can improve and I'll apply it on the next one. I've been your host, Ishe Jindu or Zinyati. Email me at ishejindu@ivyafrica.com and just go to my website, ivyafrica.com, to check out anything new that I'm doing. I'll see you on the next one. Go watch another video. Peace.